So the first topic we're going to talk about today is the Sha'Carri Richardson incident, being she got kicked out of the Olympics because of smoking weed. Uh, Pat, I'm really interested on your take on this. What do you think about the whole situation?
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, in 2016, they allowed 150 milligrams per milliliter, and yet they're going to do this to her. And the Olympic trials, they were in Oregon. It's very legal in Oregon. I mean, that's the most legal you can get is Oregon. And that's just absolutely ridiculous to have someone that's trained their entire lives. That happens every 4 years. In this case, 5 years between Rio and now. There were some Olympians that would have made it last year compared to this year. And yet she's being penalized for a full month over marijuana in a world that is accepting of it. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely ridiculous as well. My whole thing about the whole Sha'Carri Richardson thing is I kind of have mixed emotions because on one hand, it's like you know the rules, so why risk it? But on the other hand, it's like weed is basically legal, and you're in Oregon, literally. Like everybody knows about Oregon, so it just comes down to like I don't know if we're at that point in our stage, we're at that point in our lives where we're literally chasing the goal, whether we're trying to chase Super Bowl rings or we're trying to chase NBA Finals championships or we're trying to quote unquote win the Olympic gold. And if the rules were in place and they go up to and Roger Goodell goes with Tom Brady saying, "Hey Tom Brady, if you want to play in the Super Bowl, don't smoke weed. Hey LeBron James, you want to play in the NBA Finals, don't smoke weed during the entire finals." What are these athletes gonna do? Do you think they're gonna go out and fight it, or do you think they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's okay, I can just smoke weed afterwards"? I'm pretty sure they're gonna take the latter. So when it comes to this right here, it's like she knew the rules, and I'm not trying to sound like I don't care because I care a lot, but at the end of the day, it's like when it's something to where you really care about it, you've been training your entire life, whatever the reason may have been, whether it's family, like she was saying with her mom, or just personal reasons, you shouldn't break the rules regardless of how silly they are or how legal they basically are now, because the fact that you trained your entire life for this and you're gonna throw it all away just to smoke for one day when the Olympics, they're not even that long anyways. And I'm pretty sure whatever her excuse was about her mom, I'm pretty sure her mom would have told her the same thing. "I don't want you to smoke weed." And with her being 21 years old, you can drink.
Yeah.
Drinking just, I don't know if it has the same effect because I don't smoke. But I know drinking, it gives you that sense of freedom, that sense of relaxedness. You're allowed to be your true inner self. So with her doing that, it's just like she had better outlets, and I just had mixed emotions about it, to be honest.
That's fair. I mean, I understand. At the same time, she is 21 years old. She should be able to do these type of things in a place where a lot of things are legalized. If you're going to have potential tobacco, why not replace that with marijuana? Now, could she have done CBD? Absolutely, she could have done that. But maybe she just likes the feeling of being high. Maybe she likes having that marijuana. And at the same point, I mean, I don't know what your feelings are. Please tell me. How do you think this could have been compared to somebody in a different sport? Or systematically even, how do you feel about her just happening to be an African American and this happened at the same time? What are your thoughts?
Well, I get what you're saying, but my thoughts on all this is like I could see how this is considered systematic racism, like a lot of people are saying, just because you have a black athlete and she's not getting what she wants and she's being penalized, punished, whatever you want to say, because of her smoking weed. And then you go back to the Michael Phelps incident back in 2016 where he was caught with a pipe in his mouth, and then you look at some of the rules where they say you can't exceed X amount of limits of weed, and you're in the state of Oregon where all this stuff is just like, it's one of those things that where it's like you don't want to call yourself believing that everything is racist just because it's a black person, but at the same time I can see how a lot of people would make that case that it is racist, but these rules were already in place, and no matter what color you are, you know the rules, so why risk it? Is my whole thing about it. And then when it comes to other sports, I guess with other sports being it's not a national, it's not a worldwide thing. So it's not that much seriousness going into it. Like with basketball, I know with the NBA, they've been more lenient on athletes smoking weed just because of the whole mental health issues, as well as the opioid pandemic that's going on. So it's a better substitute for players that are in pain compared to them taking all these drugs. And the NFL, they're even progressing more towards it. But at the same time, you got to look at it from the fact that these are privately owned businesses. Do you really want your star players or great players who people come to play? You really want these players out of the game when everybody's paying to watch these players play? Or are you going to be like, you know what, I don't care, just go ahead and smoke some weed? Because I can't afford to lose millions of dollars because of the fact that we got to suspend LeBron James because he wants to smoke some weed. Like, no, you're going to let LeBron play. But when it comes to the Olympics, it's more of, I'm not really sure how they make money off the Olympics, but you're going to always have fast athletes out there, no matter what. And even if Sha'Carri Richardson could have been the next, I don't know, Simone Biles, or where she's the most dominant female athlete of her group. I don't know. I'm not going to get the opportunity to see it. But whether it is or isn't, you're going to always have somebody out there who can run fast. Compared to the NBA or football, you're not going to find another Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to find another Tom Brady, another LeBron James, another Aaron Judge. Like, you can't find these guys. So that's my whole take on it.
Well, now that you mentioned Simone Biles, what do you think would have happened if it was her compared to everybody else? Simone Biles is the one that fills up the seats. LeBron James fills up seats. Tom Brady fills up seats. So what if it was somebody smaller, some just like her? Would they have the same reaction to a Simone Biles as they would a Sha'Carri Richardson?
You see, and that's actually an excellent point. I've never even thought about that. But I guess it just comes down to my theory I've had for years. When distraction outweighs, I guess, production, then you got to get rid of them. But when your production outweighs your distraction, you can do whatever you want. You go back to the whole Ray Rice incident. He was caught beating his girlfriend in the elevator. Ray Rice was also on the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
So they're like, you're not getting away with that. But then you go back to the early 2000s with Ray Lewis, where I think he shot somebody or he killed somebody.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're Ray Lewis. We got to have you play just because of all the hype he had coming out of college. So when it comes to these great players and these great athletes, it really comes down to how great are you. And with Sha'Carri being an up-and-comer, all right, and with her playing a sport, I guess, attempting a sport like running track, where I don't care. There's so many fast athletes out there. You can find another Sha'Carri Richardson. Like, let's just be honest. It's not like she ran like a 9 or an 8 or something like that, like Bolt type speed. But she did run really fast. But you can still find that anywhere. Compared to somebody like a LeBron James. Like, you're not going to find that everywhere. A guy who's around 6'9", passing like that, allowing his teams to go to the finals every single year. You're not going to find these generational talents. So if it was somebody like a Simone Biles to be 1,000% with you, I think they let her play. Yeah. I don't even think this makes the news. Yeah. I think they just sweep this under the rug just because Simone Biles fills up the seats. Simone Biles is quoted on being the GOAT of gymnastics. You watch her do all the little floor routines and the bows, and you're like, dang, how is she possibly doing that?
There's two techniques named the Biles.
Yeah, just because of her. So if it was somebody like her, I don't even think this makes the news. I think everybody's trying to sweep this under the rug as fast as possible because you need her. You need her to win as well as you need her to fill the seats. You need her for people to watch. Compared to this right here, with her being up and coming and doing something as diverse as running track, where you can find an athlete for that, and it's not like she had flash type speed.
Yeah,
I think it's a no-brainer to let her go simply because of that. But like I said, if she was on that level or running flat speed, I think they should sweep it under the rug just because you got to have that on TV.
I agree. I mean, there's always going to be another 17-year-old come up, and whenever you're eligible for the Olympics compared to where you weren't last year, there's going to be somebody always that's better than you.
Yeah.
Eventually, there might be somebody better than a Usain Bolt. But like you said, whenever it comes to Olympic running, there's a runner-up. There's always somebody that can fill your place. But a Simone Biles, you cannot replace.
No.
I mean, a LeBron, you can't replace. Tom Brady, you can't replace. That's why these elite athletes such as them, they will always get something swept under the rug.
Right.